Hi guys, welcome back to the Storytime Society. As you can see, I am in my pajamas because let me tell you, it's 9:51 p.m. We're having a little sleepover, me and you together. Even if it's like 6 a.m. or something, I don't know. Um I'm having a sleepover with you. So, I'm in my pajamas, I showered, and I went to hot yoga. So, I don't know what was wrong with me today, okay? So I did not film today all day long, but I guess it's mostly because my boyfriend is I'm kind of nervous that this isn't working for some reason, but I'm sure it is. And I do that every single time. I didn't film because my boyfriend is off work for the week. And because he's starting a new job at the beginning of September, so he is off for the rest of the month. And yeah, we've been kind of hanging out a little bit more. So we went to movies at at like 4 p.m. And I've just been like kind of off work with him in a way. But yeah, so I did not film today. And obviously I need to because there's an episode that needs to come out. And yeah, so this is me filming after I just took a shower and went to hot yoga. And it was really good. Honestly, it was harder than yesterday's hot yoga. Like, I was kind of dying, kind of sweating. Yesterday, I wore a long sleeve and leggings, and I was like definitely sweating and like hot. But if I would have worn a long sleeve and leggings today, I would have been in the ambulance because I would have been so hot and I would have passed out. But I want this has like been bothering me since it happened, since I got to hot yoga. And I don't want to sound like a negative Nancy or anything, but I want to like ask you guys what you think about this situation. It's so stupid, but I've been overthinking it because I hate when people say that I'm like mean. It bothers me because like I know that I'm genuinely and generally a nice person, although I have told you guys that like I can be a bitch, and I definitely probably used to be more of a bitch than regular. Um, which I don't want to make excuses or anything, but like for most of my life, I was going through an eating disorder, which really made me cranky, and I was unmedicated, which also really made me cranky. So, yeah, those are just factors, but still, I can't like excuse that. But I'm definitely like, I just feel like I'm pretty nice for the most part. I try to be nice, and so when people like say that I'm mean or like you're not nice, then I like start to overthink it, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm literally like, am I the shittiest person in the world? So I got to yoga, and I don't know how to explain this, but there's like a big parking lot where Trader Joe's and Marshall's and stuff is, and then like you can go around the corner, and then there's little shops like a little Chinese buffet place, a little nail salon, then my yoga studio, and then a Dunkin' Donuts. And that is where like there's like a small parking lot for all those shops. And I was going to yoga, and I didn't want to be late. I wasn't late. I wasn't like running late or anything, but there was a certain time that I wanted to get there by. I wanted to get there a little bit early so that I could get a spot, like a better spot, because the yoga studio is so small, and I don't want to like be having to make people scooch over. Like, I get a little bit of social anxiety about that. So I wanted to be there by 7:15, 15 minutes early, so that I could go in the room and like set up and just have a spot with my friend. So I get there, and there's one parking spot left in the small parking lot, and it's on the end. So it's like right by the big parking lot. And obviously, like, you can just drive to the big parking lot from there. Like, there's no blocking off, if you know what I mean. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm trying to explain it the best I can. But I get there, and I'm driving up, and I see some girl. She's like smoking, and she's on the phone, and I just think she's just standing there because she's on a break from work or something. And like, once I try to pull up, she'll move for me. And I drive up. I'm not like close to her or anything, but she probably took like 30 seconds. And then she looks up and she sees that I'm trying to pull into the parking spot. And she goes, like, points to a parking lot spot like far away, like in the freaking big parking lot, where like the opposite direction of where I'm trying to go, and there's one parking spot left that I'm trying to get into. And she's just like pointing, like as if she owns the place. And just let me know what you guys think. So I start pulling in and she points. And then I was like, what? Because I thought maybe I'm not allowed to park here, or like maybe like a truck to like unload stuff for the store is trying to park here. So I roll down the window so that she can like explain to me. And she's just on the phone smoking, and she goes, my girlfriend's about to pull in and she's parking here. And I didn't mean to be like this, but it just came out, and I hate that I was like kind of rude about it, but I was like, I don't care. I'm parking here. Like I said that. And I immediately was like, am I Karen? But then I was like, wait, no, because why is she blocking the parking spot? Like I'm just, I'm here. I'm going to park in this parking spot. Your girlfriend can park in the parking spot that you pointed me to park in. And that's the thing that really made me mad, is the fact that she just like so rudely pointed to this parking spot as if like like I literally just, I don't know, as if she's just like, you need to park over there. And so I was like, I don't care, I'm parking here. And she goes, oh, you're really nice. And then that really, it really got me. If you want to like get on my nerves, say something like that. And that really got me. I didn't respond, I didn't say anything. She moved out of the way and I just pulled in. And then I like kind of took my time. I got my yoga mat and stuff, and she was still standing like behind the car that I was parked next to, and she was like on the phone. Obviously, she was probably like, this bitch just took the parking spot I was trying to save for you. But then I just like walked past her, and I was like upset because I was like, I am like a nice person though. It's just like, if you would have come up to my window and asked me nicely and been like, hey, do you mind? Like, I've been waiting for my girlfriend. She's going to park here. I literally would have been so happy to be like, yeah, absolutely. But like when someone irks me like that and they're like, as if like I'm a freaking peasant and they're the king of the world, then I get a little upset. So, yeah. I just needed to tell you guys. That was like my off my chest. Like I needed to get something off my chest and tell you guys that, cuz I want to know how you guys would like react to that, because sometimes like I think back and I'm like, should I have just been the bigger person and moved to the bigger to the bigger parking lot farther away from the yoga studio and just parked there? But then I think I would have regretted that. So anyways, that was my story of the day. Sorry if that was boring, but it's been like on my mind since it happened, and I was like so annoyed. I was like, wait. I mean, I know I'm not perfect, and I know that I'm not nice every second of the day, but I know that I'm generally a nice person, so it bothered me, and I didn't like it. So we're just gonna get right into the story time because it's late and I need to go to bed soon. I need to actually read because I've been trying to make myself read my book like 20 pages a day. So I need to read, and then I also want to have dessert. I'm having dates. I cut up the dates into like 4 pieces, and then I put some natural peanut butter all over the dates, and then I put it in the freezer for like a couple minutes, and then I take it out, and it's the best snack ever. I'm not even kidding you. It tastes like Reese's peanut butter cup. And I'm not being that bitch that like makes a carrot and then puts it on like a hot dog bun and is like, ooh, it's a vegan hot dog. I'm not being like that. I promise you, it's actually so good if you like dates and if you like peanut butter and Reese's peanut butter cups. I swear it tastes like Reese's peanut butter cups to me. So you should have that sometime because it's so good. Like I think I don't know if I'm gonna like hyperfixate on this food and then be over it, or if this is like a true love of food for me and I'm gonna love it forever. Because usually I hyperfixate on a food and then I get sick of it, and then like 6 months later I'll have it again and be like, oh, I love this, and hyperfixate on it again. I'm sure some of you can relate. Okay, but let's start this episode so that we can get through some good good stories. Okay, sorry if you can also see my literal titties because I'm not wearing a bra, obviously, because I'm in my PJs. Ooh, that was kind of a good one. Okay. Am I the asshole for dating my dad's ex-wife? When I was around 11 or 12, I stumbled upon some old photos of my dad's first wife, Laura, while I was rummaging through the attic. The attic? Stop. While I was rummaging through the attic. Most of them were pretty ordinary, but a few showed her in lingerie. As an awkward preteen, I felt guilty and confused, but those pictures left a mark. Laura ended up becoming my first serious crush. I thought I never Though I never talked about it to anyone. I eventually put the photos back, but I couldn't really forget them. Now I'm 22 and recently moved back home after finishing university. My dad cleaned out the attic. I came across those photos again, this time instead of just feeling awkward. I felt a surge of curiosity. Laura had always been a bit of a mystery in our family. My dad didn't talk much about her, and my mom definitely wasn't keen on bringing her up. So, being the curious person I am, I decided to look Laura up on Facebook. It felt a bit weird at first, but after thinking it over, I sent her a message. We started chatting, and to my surprise, we clicked instantly. She was warm, funny, and seemed genuinely interested in catching up. We ended up meeting up for coffee, and soon enough, we were meeting regularly. One thing led to another, and before I knew it, we were dating. I know, it sounds strange, but the connection between us felt natural, even though she's my dad's ex wife. I really liked her, and she seemed to feel the same way. Eventually, I decided to tell my parents about our relationship. My dad's reaction was hard to read. He looked shocked. My mom, he looked shocked. My mom just stared at me like I'd completely lost the plot. Since then, things have been really tense at home. My dad even asked me if I was doing this to get back at him for something, which I thought was pretty unfair. I'm not trying to hurt anyone. I genuinely care about Laura, but now I'm starting to worry that I've crossed a line. I didn't mean to make things so uncomfortable for my parents, but I can't change how I feel. Laura and I are happy together, and I think she could be someone really special in my life, but I don't want to destroy my relationship with my family over this. My mom wants me to break up with her, but I just don't want to. Okay, some relevant comments. So you are willing to break. Actually, there's only one relevant comment because this is like a copy and pasted story. But someone commented, so you are willing to break the relationship between your father and you for Laura? It is never a good thing to date someone's ex, especially since you have no idea why they broke up, etc. History. You went and seek this woman behind your dad's back since you had a crush on her, since you were a young, impressionable boy. I am sure you can find someone else that is not that awkward to bring to family gatherings and spoil forever father-son bond. Think think about how you would feel if your dad went after your ex. Okay, first of all, I wish I knew these ages, but I'm assuming it's inappropriate because you were 11 or 12 when you stumbled upon these photos. So I'm assuming, I don't know. I don't know the backstory right now, so I can't really judge. But I'm assuming Laura knew you unless they were married before you were dating. I don't know. But you were a child. Also, I think you're 22, okay, so you definitely know better. But this girl's probably much older than you, I can only assume. And she it's honestly more her responsibility. She is your dad's ex. She is older and she is supposed to be the more mature one, but the fact that she's dating her ex's son is extremely weird. Like, yeah, it's weird that you're dating your dad's ex-wife, but it's even weirder that this older woman who is supposed to be mature is dating her ex-husband's son. That's even weirder to me, and that is scary. But let's see what the update is so that maybe if we can get more of the backstory. I don't know. Okay. Update. Hey everyone, I wanted to give you an update on my situation since my last post. A lot has changed over the past week, and I've had some time to reflect on everything that's happened. So, after the initial shock of telling my parents about my relationship with Laura, things at home became really tense. I could sense the strain every time I went into a room, and it was getting harder to be there. My dad and I hardly spoke, and when we did, it was awkward and stilted. My mom wasn't much better. She mostly avoided me altogether. I never wanted to hurt them, but I also knew that I couldn't keep living under the same roof while things were so strained. That's why I decided to move out. It wasn't an easy decision, but I realized that for my own sanity and to give my parents some space, it was the best thing to do. Laura offered me a place to stay, and I've been living with her for a few days now. I have to say, I've never felt more at peace. Laura has been nothing but kind and supportive through all of this. I've honestly never felt love like this before. She's always looking out for me, making sure I'm okay, and just being an all around amazing partner. It's just such a relief to be with someone who genuinely cares about me and makes me feel valued. As for my relationship with my parents, it's definitely more strained than ever. My dad seems to think I'm doing this to spite him, which couldn't be further from the truth. I really wish he could see that I'm trying to follow my heart here. I'm not trying to hurt anyone. I just want to be happy, and Laura makes me happy. I haven't given up on the possibility of repairing things with my parents, but I know it's going to take time. Right now, I'm focusing on the relationship with Laura and taking one things one day at a time. I'm hoping that with a bit of distance, my parents will come around and see that this isn't some sort of vendetta. It's just me being true to myself. I still love them and I don't want this to be the end of our relationship. I guess I'll just have to wait and see how things unfold. Thanks again for all the comments and advice, even though some were tough. I know not everyone agrees with what I'm doing, but I appreciate the different perspectives. All right, so let's. I got nothing more from that update, to be honest. Like, I got no ages, I got no, like, backstory. Like, hello, I need to know. But I didn't get any of those answers, so let's read some of the comments. I'm no therapist, but going from a horny teenager finding dad's ex's spicy photos in an attic to dating that woman 10 years later doesn't seem like a healthy progression. Just how much older is this woman? Assuming dad dated Laura at 16 and broke up at 18, assuming she needs to be 18 to get married and divorced, and dad met OP's mother and had him when Laura is 19, woman is 20 years older at the very least. Very convenient of him to leave out all the ages but his own. My thoughts exactly. At that age, it's incredibly uncommon to be dating someone more than 2 years younger or older than you. Like, when you're 18, 15-year-olds seem like small children. It's very safe to bet on Laura being very close to OP's dad's age. Yeah, it is. That's so true. When you're 18, 15 sounds like a tiny child, which honestly makes me think. I think I was 15 and my boyfriend was like 18 when I lost my virginity, so. Hmm. Hmm. That's a little weird. No, it's not that weird, but like, I mean, it is weird if I was 18. I would never. I wouldn't. I would only go for like a 17-year-old at the very, very, very least. And even then, when you're 18, you're like, ew, you're 17. You know, like I never really like was interested in. Well, actually, there were a couple like when I was a senior, there were a couple juniors that I would be like interested in, but like not not to the extent that I would actually end up dating them. But ew, yeah. When you think about it, you're like 18. You feel like you're so like you just feel like you're so mature. You're like I'm literally just like 30 years old. In that you're 15. Oh my god, I remember those days. You know, you just think you're so much older than you are, but so it's definitely very interesting. But she's the dad's ex-wife, not ex-high school girlfriend, so 18 when they married at the youngest, most likely, and probably older. The whole thing is weird. Maybe dad is a stepdad. If stepdad married mom when the kid was 12, his ex-wife could have still been 18 at the youngest, making 6 years of a difference. I don't know. That's why I need more motherfucking details. Original post by... Okay, we're gonna look and see if this person has commented anything. Okay, that was 11 hours ago when he made that update, but he's really, he was commenting back. You don't, I don't care, blah, 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 blah. Shouldn't my father care how I feel? What kind of weirdo wishes the worst on someone they don't know? Ew. Not that I ate her P-U-S-S-Y out also. I didn't need to know that detail. For the love of God. Please, don't say that. Ever. Okay, well, I don't think I'm going to find out any other details, but Yes, I think you are the asshole. I think you're both the assholes. Equally, actually, no, not equally. I think you're an asshole, and the woman that you're dating is even more of an asshole, and honestly, maybe even a pedophile. Possibly. All right. Am I the asshole for not apologizing to my friend after she screamed at me? Why did I say it like that? Am I the asshole for not apologizing to my friend after she screamed at me and my kid at her wedding? 2 weeks ago, I, female 29, hubby, male 31, and son, male 4, attended my BFF's female 28 wedding. It was a beautiful ceremony and everything was going great until my BFF and her husband cut the cake. Important context: BFF didn't speak to me during her wedding planning about being unsure on whether or not to allow kids at her wedding. Her two sisters both have kids around my son's age, and she sees him as her nephew too. But she wanted to be able to let loose and enjoy her wedding without worrying about any kids messing things up. I gave her my opinion, saying me and hubby allowed kids at our wedding and wouldn't have it any other way. The kids were still family and deserved to be included. After that, and speaking with her sisters, she and her husband okayed kids for the wedding. Now, the ceremony went swimmingly. BFF's niece sat with me, hubby, and son as her sisters were in the bridal party. I brought quiet activities to keep them entertained, and everybody behaved. I even cried from how lovely it was. When we got to the reception, nieces were returned to their parents, so it was just now me, hubby, and son. Dinner went fine, and then the couple took to the dance floor for their first dance. Afterwards, everybody was welcomed to the dance floor for a bit before cutting cake. At this point, the kids were running around and playing with each other, and it was fairly secure space, and I knew almost everybody there, so I felt comfortable with son playing with the other kids while hubby and I had fun dancing. Important to mention now, hubby offered to DD so I could enjoy myself, so I had had a couple glasses of wine at this point. BFF had also been drinking and celebrating. BFF and her husband go to do cake cutting, and hubby and I are a little slow to getting there, so there was a crowd blocking our view. Suddenly, I hear BFF scream my son's name. Hubby and I push forward to see what's wrong. I see my son with frosting around his mouth and on his fingers. The cake had a small chunk taken out of it. I try to apologize, but BFF turns around and yells, "This is your fault. Your son ruined my cake. He's only here because you told me it would be worth it to include the kids." I yelled back, telling her that it was just an accident and the rest of the cake was still edible, that this was her nephew she was screaming about. She told me I was no friend of hers and he wasn't her nephew in front of everyone. She told me to leave or she'd call security. Son and I were crying at this point, and the three of us left. One of the bride's sisters reached out to me after and apologized for her sister's reaction, but said that I needed to apologize. I think sorries are out of the window now after her outburst. I told her sister so, and I said I expect an apology first before I'd say anything to her. Not only did she blow up at me in front of everyone, but at my son. I'm humiliated, but even more angry on his behalf. So am I the asshole if I refuse to apologize first? What? Yeah, you are. What do you mean? What do you mean? Are you self aware? Like, yeah, your kid literally was running around at this wedding, unsupervised, obviously. You guys didn't know where the kid was, clearly. He takes a chunk out of probably an expensive cake. Wedding cakes are very expensive. And also, to be so disrespectful and so not self aware to think, like, I can't believe you yelled at me. You realize how long a wedding takes to plan, how much money and time goes into planning a wedding, and you know that when people have big weddings, especially the bride wants it to go as perfect as possible, and that is very understandable. So I'm sure that there was something leading up to this. Like, I'm sure that she already knew, maybe she already knew she didn't really want kids there, and you convinced her. So I feel as though she probably kind of was already resenting you a little bit because she didn't want kids there, and maybe she just wasn't enjoying the fact that kids were there. And then that happens, and she's like, "This is why I didn't want kids here. And you convinced me." And then the fact that you convinced me, and then now this is your son literally ruining my wedding cake and my cake cutting with my husband that I just married and probably spent lots of money to do so. Yeah, you're the asshole, and you better fucking apologize. Even if, like, I don't care what it takes. Apologize. That's insane. That's insanity. The fact that you're expecting an apology, like, I understand that she could have handled it better and she didn't have to, like, scream to that extent and, say, like, hurtful things, but warranted, in my opinion. Okay, let's see. You're the asshole. Your child is very young and in need of supervision. It doesn't matter how secure the location is. There are a lot of things that are not secure, like cake, glasses, etc., in the venue. Not only should you apologize, you should have apologized right then and there instead of reacting with the rest of the cake is still edible. Because gross. I doubt your kid washed his hands in a while. And it was an accident. It wasn't an accident. Your kid is so young, so it wasn't malicious, but it certainly wasn't an accident. You also need to pay at least part of the cost of the cake because that tier was not edible. The majority of kids that are kidnapped or molested are done so by an adult that they know. It's not strangers you have to worry about. It's Uncle Bob. I don't know what you're saying. Facts. OP was wildly negligent. Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. OP was wildly negligent. Thank God the worst that happened while her not even school-aged child was running around unsupervised was that he took a fistful of cake. OP and husband. If husband was Dee Dee, he also should have been on kid duty. But I agree, she isn't blameless either because if I'm going to not pay attention to my kids, I know exactly who will be before I lose track of them. She is even more to blame because she totally guilted and manipulated her friend to even allow kids in the first place, and then couldn't even supervise hers after the friend caved. This 100%, I have a feeling OP just didn't want to pay for a sitter, and that's why she guilted her BFF into allowing kids. And demanding the bride should apologize first when it's OP's kid that decided to dive into the wedding cake is ridiculous. I think OP is embarrassed about being yelled at in front of everyone, and as a result is having a hard time seeing that her and her husband were in the wrong here for letting their kid run around unsupervised. You're the asshole. Yes, you are the asshole. And you will be the asshole every single day. No one will, like, whoever thinks that you're not the asshole is crazy. Like, I understand, like, okay, maybe your kid runs off or something, but it seems like it was a good amount of time between when you guys had him last and then when this happened, and it seems like you guys probably should have been keeping an eye on him. I mean, it's crazy that you wouldn't be as a 4-year-old at this probably large wedding. Like, come on. You don't care about your kid, and what do you mean? I literally get nervous when my cats are like hiding for longer than like 20 minutes. And I'm like, oh my God, what if they're dead? What if they're under the bed, like just dead or like choking out or like, I don't know. I get so nervous about just my cats. So I can't even imagine if I had a child. I would literally be like a helicopter around my child. Hello, hello, where are you? I hate to say it, but I've literally seen sometimes, don't hate me for this, please. I've seen people with like leashes on their children, and I'm like, why would I do that? Why would I literally do that? Because I don't want my kid to run out in the middle of the road and get hit by a car. So, like, having a leash with a backpack on it would be like easing my mind. Is that bad? I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below. Like, is that bad? I don't know. Because I always see people making fun of people that have their kids on like a leash. But, like, what am I going to do? What if they run out into the street and I'm not quick enough to run after them and then a car comes and hits them? I just know I'm going to be such a worried mom. Like, at that point, I'm going to need to quadruple my dose of anxiety medicine because I'm going to be constantly stressed about if my baby's dead. Like, I'm going to need one of those monitors that go on their feet. My sister has one for her baby, and it goes on their feet. And then, like, when they're sleeping and they're in their crib, like, you literally can just monitor everything about them, like, to make sure that everything's good. Their heart rate, their oxygen levels, that will be me. I don't even care how much that device is. I will have one for every single kid that I have. And I will be setting alerts as well if it drops below certain numbers to alert me. And that's just that, okay? Sorry, I can't control it. Alright, we have another story. Let me yawn. Alright. I ran into my ex wife's sister at the store. After catching up, she asked me on a date. I have mixed feelings. What should I do? Lord. Okay. I'm a 28 male. I recently ran into my ex wife's sister, Riley, 24 female, at the grocery store. And after talking with her and sort of catching up, she ended up asking me out on a date, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. Quick background, my ex wife's the same age as me, and I have not seen her since we divorced 3 years ago. There was nothing juicy about the divorce, just two kids who got married too young, too soon, and realized it too late. We divorced pretty amicably, and she ended up moving away. I did as well for a time, but I ended up coming back home last year. I had no idea what my ex was doing, and I didn't really care. I got along with her family until the end, although I did not know her sister that well, since either we were in college or she was in college away from us, but I obviously had met her several times and had a cordial relationship with her. Never felt any weird vibes while married to her sister. My ex was not really close with her sister, but they also did not have any ill will towards each other. Anyway, she told me that my ex is engaged and happy, which I was actually happy to hear. She said her parents are doing well, and they even asked her a little while ago if she knew what I was doing, which she didn't because I don't keep in contact with anyone from her family. I kind of wanted a clean break, you know? Me and my ex do have some mutual friends, but I don't think Riley really knows them that well. It was a nice conversation. Before we finished talking, Riley asked me if I would like to have a drink with her sometime. I thought maybe she just wanted to catch up in a better setting, more so than two people leaning on shopping carts. But then she said, "But I understand if you don't want to go on a date with your ex wife's sister. So it's a date." I did end up exchanging numbers with her, asking her kind of lightly how her parents would feel, and they would probably be happy that I found someone like you. Wait, they would probably be happy that I found someone they liked. I figured I would rather have the number and not use it than wonder if I should have gotten it. I don't know. I guess I was also just happy that an attractive woman asked me for my number. She did mention in our conversation before she asked me out that she was not always surprised that her sister let such a good guy go, which I corrected her and told her it was definitely mutual, not all on my ex. Riley is very pretty. I enjoyed talking to her and I like her family. They also always liked me. If I had just run into her as a stranger and there was no history, if I'm being honest, it would have made my day to have been asked that. But I keep thinking that it's weird. Like, she's obviously a grown woman now, but she was a teenager when I started dating my ex wife. As I said, I didn't see her all too much. So, no, this is not a grooming situation. I would feel weird going to her parents, almost being like, "Hey, I decided to give your other daughter a try." Then how would my ex feel about it? Would it ruin her relationship with her sister? And if we got serious, I'd have to see my ex wife at functions, which I don't care that much about, but it's still odd, you know? Then I got these intrusive thoughts like, is this my unconscious trying to make my failed marriage seem like a success? Then there's like, what if Riley had the same tendencies that made you and ex incompatible? But I feel like I'm also not being fair to Riley. Riley has a great family. She seems to have her stuff together. She was enjoyable to talk to. I feel like I could be allowing my past to throw away a potential great partner. I don't know. I'm really confused. Help me. Edit 1. I can't post an official update yet, so here's the best I can do. I have read through your comments, taking my lashings from some, gotten some weird, creepy personal messages from others who, as one person put it, understood why I wanted to knock boots with my ex's sister. In fact, it was creepy pro messages that actually changed my mind more than the people telling me not to go on the date. Though some of you against it also made some great points. I texted Riley and told her that I don't think it would be appropriate for us to go on a date. I told her that I enjoyed talking to her and catching up, but that we should only be cordial if we see each other out, but nothing more. Maybe I shouldn't have said this, but I also told her that it's nothing personal against her, that she seems like a really great person, but given my history with her sister, it just isn't appropriate. She replied and said that she understood and respected my decision, but also said that she didn't think my ex wife would have a problem with it. But I was steadfast and said I still don't think it's appropriate. I also learned a lot about myself here, and if you read some of my comments, you might have seen this, but I'll try to summarize. I miss being a husband. I miss being in love and in a loving marriage. I don't miss my ex wife, but I miss what we once had, and I want that again with someone else. I didn't know I felt that way, at least consciously, until I spoke to Riley. I think her being my ex-wife's sister brought out some feelings in me that were never unlocked by the women I went on dates with in the interim, because they were detached enough from my previous marriage that I could still repress those feelings. I didn't realize how lonely I was and how much I craved having a woman that I could come home to and not just receive love, but give it. I think I focused so much on my career and other things in my life that I buried those feelings after my divorce. Finally, call me dumb, naive, oblivious, emotionally unintelligent, etc., but I'm not a bad person and I never intended to destroy anyone's relationships. I also was not thinking about sex. If you see some of my replies, I didn't even think of some of the conundrums there. What? I didn't even think of some of the conundrums there. I was thinking with a heart that confused scar tissue with being healed. As for Riley, I don't know what her intentions were, and at this point, I don't care. I'm not going on that date with her. I'm going to talk to a professional about my unresolved love issues, and I want to thank everyone here for opening my eyes, even if you were a jerk, except the person who basically accused me of being a pedo. You can F off. Edit 2, I'm going to bed. I've been up way too late with this and drank too many beers, more than a long time. I have tried to respond as best as I can. People who didn't even read the whole thing, I don't care about your opinion. People who did and offered up stuff, even if I didn't like it, thanks for your input. This thing has blown up so much, I'll give you all an update if anything else transpires. Okay. I don't know how I feel about this one. Because, like, on one hand, like, yeah, if you knew her as a teenager, like, I don't know, it is giving a little bit weird, but I guess if you weren't like around really as she was a teenager, I think that makes a difference. And they're not like that. They're only 4 years apart. So like that's not crazy at all actually. It's not crazy. But definitely it would be weird. I'm thinking like, okay, maybe if the wife would be okay with it and everyone would be okay with it, okay. It's like definitely a weird situation. But if everyone was really truly okay with it, I would say like go for it, honestly. I don't know, but I have a feeling that I don't think everyone's going to be okay with it. So, I'm going to read some comments. Many moons ago, in my high school days, my older sister dated a guy who enjoyed the same video game as me. We would chat about it for hours when I saw him, but our relationship was platonic. They broke up after a while. 5 years later, I met him again at a convention. He asked me out. I declined. When I told my sister, her response was, I knew he broke up with me because he was in love with you. That was over 25 years ago, and she still mentions it at Christmas that I'm a boyfriend stealer. Today, she's happily married and has kids. OP, don't do it. That's funny. Honestly, that's funny because my sister has done the same thing to me once when we were on a float trip with my whole family. So I have 4 siblings, um, 2 blood and 2 step, which I consider the step sisters that I have blood because I've known them since I was like 3 years old. If you guys know, you know my story about my family and how my dad got with his now wife. You know, okay? So I've known them. They lived across the street from me when I was little, and I've known them like my whole entire life, basically, from what I am cognitive of, like what I can remember of my life. And when we were all on a float trip, okay, my siblings brought their significant others, and that includes my sister, who brought her boyfriend at the time. And let me just start with she never really had a healthy relationship. And so I understand why she like reacts the way that or she reacted the way that she did, and sometimes she would react in certain ways that at the time was a little bit dramatic, but it's understandable with the history that she's had with like significant others. So we were on a float trip. Everyone was drinking, obviously. I was definitely like too young to drink, like 17, 18 probably, and I was definitely still drinking. And she was drinking an excessive amount. Um, yeah, she used to do that. She's definitely like a lot healthier now, but she used to drink a little too much, and her boyfriend at the time also drank way too much. And I'm pretty sure that he had some issues with like alcoholism. So you can only imagine, like, he drank a lot that day. So they were both just like wasted. And I don't even remember what they started fighting about, but drunk people, like, you can start a fight over a piece of grass, like a blade of grass. It's like crazy. But they started fighting, and oh my God, honestly, now that I'm thinking back to this, so many crazy things happened that day. But they started fighting. I don't know why, what was going on, but all I remember is at some point they were yelling at each other, and my sister was saying like, "You keep flirting with my sister." And, like, I was literally not flirting with him at all, and he was not flirting with me at all. I was just like being nice to him because I wanted him to feel welcome in the family, and he was like newer to the family, like newer with my sister. So, and this was like kind of the first outing that he'd been on with us. So I like always want to make them feel welcome. And so obviously, yeah, like, I was being friendly with him. I wasn't over excessively like talking to him, which wouldn't matter anyways, because like I'm literally her sister and she's 12 years older than me and I was literally like underage. But she was like so mad at him, and she was like, "You should just go date my sister. You just like want my sister. You've been flirting with her all day, blah, 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 blah." And she was so mad. And then, like, towards the end of the float, I can't remember exactly what happened, but my dad definitely had a little bit to drink that day, so he was probably feeling bold. And when he drinks, he's not an angry drunk at all. He's more like an emotional drunk, and like he loves us so much. Like, he loves us so much when he's sober too, but he really loves us so much and like shows it so much when he's drunk. So he was like really upset that my sister's boyfriend was treating her this way. And even though my sister was like also in the wrong, but obviously my dad is going to stick up for his daughter. So they literally like almost got in a fist fight. Like, I don't remember how it went down, but my sister's boyfriend was being so disrespectful to my dad, like, "Shut the fuck up," like telling him like rude. I can't remember exactly, but I know it was like along the lines of like, "Shut the fuck up," and like probably more than that. And it was like very aggressive. And I was like, what the fuck? Because in my family, I would always like yell. Like, I would yell at my sister, like, "Can you stop? You're being ridiculous." Like, I would kind of be like the mother in the situation. So like I was definitely saying to my sister, like, "You need to calm down. You need to like get your behavior right." And so I was like yelling at them. And then like my other family would be like, "Guys, stop yelling, or stop fighting." And then I was like, "No, she needs to calm down. She needs to act her age." And yeah, so my sister's boyfriend literally like almost, I'm pretty sure that he might have pushed my dad, but I could be making that up. But I feel like some sort of physical altercation happened, but it wasn't anything like that crazy. But that was like right at the end of the flow, and my dad and him were like going at it with each other, like arguing, yelling at each other, not even arguing, like being like, the boyfriend was being despicable to my dad, like the way that I would literally punch my boyfriend if he was talking like that to my dad, because you don't disrespect like your significant other's parents when there's no reason to. And so that was like the end of the float. We get off the floats and we head to our camping spot. And this man, my sister's boyfriend, jumps in his truck and drives off after having like probably 2 24 packs of Bud Light that day. He was wasted off of his ass. And I was like, what the hell is happening? And they were just like calling each other on their phone, like, "Where are you?" And then like she was trying to get him to come back. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? This man is literally driving drunk around this town. Like, he's going to end up killing someone. And I was like so concerned. But yeah, that was just one of the dramatic situations that's happened. Honestly, any dramatic situation that happens, like with my family, I never even like cared that much. Like, I never thought like, oh, I never thought it was trauma. I was just like always like, again, can you please calm down? But yeah, love my sister to death, but she definitely started some problems at like family functions a lot of the time, and it was only because of alcohol every single time, which she's like pretty much sober now. I think she only drinks like once in a while, so love that. But yeah, I thought I would just share that little story because of the part of her saying that her boyfriend and I were flirting. Like, what? It was crazy. I was like, absolutely not. if any boyfriend that I wanted to flirt with, it would not be this one, and I never, ever, ever wanted to flirt with any of her boyfriends. Actually, when I was like 7 years old, she dated this guy that kind of looked like Channing Tatum, and I was obsessed with him, and I would climb all over him, but I was 7, like, that was warranted. I was only 7 years old, obviously. There's nothing, but I would be like, like a little girl, when you have like a little crush on your sister's boyfriends, but yeah, so that was crazy. But there are a lot more stories where that comes from. Yeah. But I can never think of these stories until like I read stuff like this, and then I'm like, oh, I can relate that back to a situation that happened to me. But like on the spot, I could never think of that. Like, because I don't know, I feel like so much stuff happens in your life that you don't think of these things, and then like something like that just reminds me. It's like, oops, I actually have a story that aligns with something similar. But yeah, really funny. Okay, I think I'm done for the day because it's 10:37 and I need to read my book and have some dessert. And I also, the last episode I posted, I was like going all out. I was like, I'm just gonna keep going until the battery is about to die. And I literally ended at like an hour 38, I think. And that's like the longest episode I've ever posted. And I had like 2% left, which I think I see right now that I have 2% left. So I really got a blast. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching. Why am I saying so much this episode? I don't know, but let me know what you think of these stories, and if you haven't already, subscribe, maybe turn the notification on. Definitely comment because I always want you guys to comment, and I love talking to you guys. Like the video. It definitely helps my videos, and I just appreciate you guys so much for watching and commenting. Like, genuinely, it makes my day when anyone comments anything, and I'm just so happy to have you guys in my life. And thank you for being here and being on this earth and chatting with me. And I love you so much, to the moon and back, like 100 times. Okay? Bye.